Friday, October 1st, the first of the month. And I think my audio is working now. Yes, yesterday it was not, so this is okay. And we're just going to start off by looking at the markets before I go into the requests for you guys. And yeah, so we're going to start with maybe the SPY here and just take a look at what's really going on. And the SPY is basically still maintaining its daily strength. It's still kind of trying to break higher, but it's a little bit the past 3 days in a row since Thursday of last week, it's kind of been making lower lows a little bit from the high. So possibly it wants to go a little bit lower, but right now it still has lots of momentum. So even if it did come back down to test like the 550s or so, that's still just another breakout back test for continuation higher. So things are still looking better and better for SPY. And for the QQQ, same thing. It held support perfectly so far. And it's like everything is basically just flat pre-market right now. And yeah, so even if it did come back down to maybe like the 480, low 480s, 470s, that would still just be a breakout back test for continuation higher. So no reason to panic or anything that price is just going to collapse here. Everything is really well above support, and any kind of dip seems like a good opportunity for now. So let's check out the IWM. Still not able to break that 221 level, and still I want it to break at least above the 223 level as well, just to kind of confirm that it really wants to go higher, because these candles up here was like around 224 and 223. So that zone is where really what I want to see candles close above these candles to really get the momentum going. So just one step at a time, get back above that 221, then get above the 223, and then get above everything else to go to the next levels into the 230s and 240s. So I think it'll get there. It's just taking a little bit more time because it's kind of stuck under some resistance still. And I do see a first request of Qualcomm here. So Qualcomm, yeah, let me look at the weekly chart for Qualcomm. So yeah, the week over week for Qualcomm has begun, like it's gotten more bullish over the weeks, right? You can see from the August 5th that it's just been making higher lows, and now it's even on the top side of the conversion line, and it's on the top side of the 50-week moving average still. So I think the momentum is still to the upside, and the daily chart is getting kind of rejected right now because of the 200-day and the 50-day and the cloud and all that. There's a lot of action right where price is, right? So it really needs to break 172 just to get above everything to go higher. So that's going to be the line in the sand for price to go higher, whether that's today, tomorrow, this week. 172 is going to be the target to get above, but at least it looks like it's holding support well. It's just looking like maybe it's trying to build a base to go higher. So I think it's going to go higher. It's just basically needs more time, maybe a couple more days or weeks or so. And yes, Tesla. So yeah, Tesla, it's up a little bit pre-market, 261.89, still above that 258.18, 50% level. It's maintaining it now for a couple days, since Friday, then Monday, then maybe today's another day. And yesterday we did see the wick below it, but since it was like the monthly candle close too, I had a feeling they're going to close it back above the 50%, because that was the first time in like a long time, right? And for a monthly candle close for Tesla, yeah, it was right here back in June of 2023. That was the last time it really closed a month above that 50% level. So that was a while ago, right? More than a year. So good things developing for Tesla. I do see continuation going, but it's kind of stuck right now. If we could just draw a separate line for Tesla right here, you can just see like some previous wicks up there, right? Even if you brought the line down a little bit, still some resistance right there with more wicks. So that's what it's battling right now. Just those levels, like around current price to a little bit higher, maybe the 268, 270. So that's the ultimate target to break above in order to go higher, right? It has to get above basically 270 to want to go higher. So that's what I'm looking at. But until then, maybe it's going to build a base above this 50%. And I'm okay with that if it builds a base just to continue higher to the 618 around 295. Okay, I see a crypto request for HBAR. Yeah. Yeah, so HBAR, it broke above my arc here, and that's the only thing that really matters to me. It finally got back above after holding this level here, which was this zone was really important. Like, look at that. It's like a previous resistance zone flipped to support and confirmation of support. So that held perfectly, and now it's on the top side of the arc. So it's just back testing it right now. And I do see a possible continuation higher now after that. You can put on the Ichimoku too for the weekly chart, and it looks good, right? It's also above the conversion line as well for price to want to go higher. So I think as long as it stays above 0.054, I think things are good to go higher and higher after it successfully backtests. Yeah, we'll take a look at CLSK. So CLSK held that angle perfectly, especially when it was in early September. I said that was the opportunity, anything below 850. And sure enough, that was great opportunity so far. And daily chart is not really holding that momentum right now. So is it going to come back down and retest levels? Maybe, maybe not. I think what's important though is at least just holding the previous lows down here, like all of this support right here. That's daily support. Just hold that, maybe 885 at the least, at the most. Just hold that and then build that base to go higher. So it is getting rejected by some resistance, but the market symmetry of everything is still pretty perfect. So just I think anything in the high eights is probably a good opportunity right now if it gets down there. But if Bitcoin rebounds, I think it can break through these resistance levels a lot quicker. Yeah, I see ALLY. Yeah, Ali. So Ali Financial. Yeah, it looks like it did take a little bit of a beating there just recently, but more importantly, it looks like it's back on track to possibly recover a little bit. So it is going back above, maybe towards the 37. On the weekly chart, it did hold the bottom of the cloud perfectly. So it looks like there is some room to go up to the 37s and 38s. So I think that could be the next target, but it's still not a bullish situation yet, right? It still would be below a lot of that resistance. And again, we could just draw a line right here where it's a previous resistance, flip to support, and a bearish engulfing through that support, which means it's going to be more resistance. So it does have room to go to 37, 38, but it's probably going to get rejected for some time there until maybe it builds a base to go higher. So that's what I see for Ali. It has a possible of being a bottom, but don't see it really breaking out above this level anytime soon. ASTS. Yeah, so I do have a GAN on this one, and this one actually from the bottom of 2024 April, just straight up to the blue, and now it's losing the conversion line right there. So basically, what I see is price maybe moving in between like $20 and maybe $28. Like that's kind of the range. Daily chart, it is showing that it is trying to hold that cloud, but not sure if that is going to hold because it is kind of making lower lows, right? It is making from the top lower lows. So possibly this can break back above the cloud and get that momentum back. But if it does not, then it might keep drifting lower down to these levels below into the 20s. So it's something to think of, something that we got to keep in the back of our mind, because if it does break below that $24 level, then I think price can continue lower. All right. Good morning, everybody. CELO. CELO, I guess that's the crypto, right? Because there's no other stock for that. So yeah. So CELO, yeah, it's looking pretty good just based off of this. But one thing I do see, I see that, right? Previous support, flip to resistance. That's what I see currently. So that's the first thing that I see. And I don't know if it's going to break this week or not. So there's a possibility. I mean, the week, if you go to the weekly chart, yeah, the week just started really. So there's 6 days left. So possibly it can wick above and then maybe if it closes below. But that's kind of like the level I'm really watching right now because it's a previous important zone. And sure, it can get up to the baseline too, around 78 cents, right? But I'm not sure if it has much more room than that because it can be a little wider of a resistance zone. But all I see is a breakout towards resistance, and now probably we'll see some kind of consolidation after that. That's what I see for CELO. So maybe it'll go back down to 60s or 50s or so. But the week's not over yet, so it still could have momentum to the upside. But we got to see where the candle closes, really. Let's see, EOS. Yeah, so EOS is finally breaking my level, right? The orange level that I had there, 297, right? Weekly chart, you can see it there better. And it's working its way to the top of the cloud. So, and my black line up there. So I think 320s is going to be the target, really. That's what I see for EOS. And not sure if it's going to have more than that. Sure, it could wick above, but I'm thinking it's probably still going to close the week below that 320 level. But the good news is if it closes above this orange level, it has the possibility to flip it as a support. And then maybe on our back test to the 290s, I think it could build that base to finally break through. But I don't know if it's really going to break through the cloud immediately, but there's only one way to find out and wait for the weekly candle close. So yeah, I still think it has momentum to the 320s, but not sure if it has too much more than that. Let's see. Lululemon. A true believer in my TA. Thank you so much. Yeah. I only practice what I preach because I believe in it too. And it's a way to make consistent money all the time. Lululemon. So weekly chart is, yeah, it's getting back up there, right? It kind of reclaimed that support zone, like kind of like right here, right? A previous resistance right here, flip to support. It did do like a V bottom, and now it's back above it. So I think there is hope for Lulu, really. I think there is some hope as long as that level holds, like maybe around the 263s, 262. As long as that holds, maybe even down to 254, where that conversion line is, right? We can move that line down a little bit. I think it's a possibility to hold. So we're going to look for maybe price to go back up to the 300s up here and see if it can get closer and closer every time to the cloud. But it's good to see it reclaim that previous support level. Because if it did turn it back into resistance, then that would be a little bit dangerous. But now it's actually making higher highs from that bottom. So I do think the momentum could be still to the upside, whether or not it back tests the levels down here in the 260s or 250s, still yet to be determined. But I think the momentum still will carry it to the 300s now, right up here, because there's even more resistance up here too. You can see right up there, these candles here and over here. Right. So I think, yeah, around 295, 300, I think that could be a good target for Lulu in the short term. And GME. Yeah, the market's going to open here in 5 seconds too. Okay. And GME, yeah, it's back on top of the conversion line. It held the top of the cloud perfectly. I'd say there's really good room for it to continue higher, like maybe even towards the angle again, which is around 28 bucks. So I think short term, it has momentum to the upside. So maybe the target is 28, but that is, as you can see, was a support. So now it's going to be a resistance. So really need to see it get back on top of that angle for price to continue higher. But that's what I'm really targeting right now, 28 bucks for GME. And the market just opened. How is everything doing? So yeah, SPY, everything's down a little bit. SMH is up 80 cents. Yeah, ARC is doing well. Palantir does not want to go down. Not at all. Maintaining my angle so perfectly, and it's also maintaining that fib level. I talk about 36.60. Right, that's doing really well. Google is up. Meta just keeps going, right? Meta, like my log scale chart really says 650. That's what it's really saying right now for Meta. And NVIDIA, yeah, NVIDIA is still getting stuck on my log scale chart too, right there. That's going to be the focus, like 122. Really needs to start closing weekly candles above it. I mean, if it doesn't, then we'll see. But right now, it's above it, but it's just a day. I want to see a weekly candle close back above it. So on Friday, that's going to be the target for NVIDIA to close above. And let's see. Yeah, Tesla's up a little bit. High, like everything is kind of mostly flat. There are some good things like Meta out there, and Palantir is holding up strong, or it was. It's down a little bit. But yeah, just pay attention to those levels. I think what we're going to see now is maybe some consolidation because prices have just gone pretty far, right? So when it would make sense, like for the SPY or something, to come down and retest some levels, like maybe the 560s, maybe the QQQs retest levels too, because it's been many weekly green candles in a row, right? So not saying it can't continue, but every time things get a little bit overextended on weekly charts, which this kind of is, right? It's kind of overextended from the 542 conversion line. Just know that price can come down and scare people, right? But I think if price did do that, it would be an opportunity. So yeah, that's it for today, guys, and I'll see you guys most likely